G'day guys, and welcome back to another episode. So I don't want to bore you guys with the windows and the doors again this week, so I'm going to throw some other stuff in. I got an email back from the guys who were designing up my steering, so my hydraulic cylinder and my hydraulic motor for my helm, and they've given me all the dimensions that I need to start putting everything together. So I'm going to start looking at the steering first up, and then we'll get to we'll get back to maybe doing a little bit more windows and doors, but we'll see how we go for time. So yeah, let's get on to that. Because of all the rain today, I don't want to hook the welder up because we're just going to get some water on everything and it's not going to earth out very well. So we're going to avoid welding today. One of the jobs I can go on with is finishing off this, we've got this rudder stock here. Basically, the rudder stock is all finished. I've got the rudder shaft and everything, that's all good. However, now I need to assemble it so that I can continue marking out and prepping all the areas for all the hydraulic steering to be put on. So I've got all the quotes back, I've got all the drawings, so I know what I need to do. I just got to lay it all out, weld everything in position, ready for when all the new steering mechanisms come. So that would be good because this is the last piece of hot work that I need to do inside the boat here. And then this whole room will be all complete and ready for blasting and painting. It's just this one piece that's holding this area up. And I've got to put a rail in for the floorboard. So I'll do a little bit of pottering on with this today, run you through what the plan is, because yeah, we can't really go on with welding studs in the window today. This is a bit corroded, as you can see. It's just surface corrosion. It's a brand new piece of steel, so I'm leaving it for when I blast and paint. And when I paint, it'll get a good profile on there where all the paint will be able to stick to it. So I'm okay with it getting a bit corrosive, but I don't want to put the new brass flange in up until I'm just going to take a little bit of the surface corrosion out so I can slide the brass flange in. Alright, we've come up with a little bit of an issue, but it's nothing we can't handle. So that's as far down as I can get this this rudder stock to sit. It's supposed to sit obviously against that face there sits against this face. But I know what's happened. It's very tight tolerance. It's nearly size for size between the two. So if you could see, the distance here is exactly the same distance as the distance here. And what's happened is, as this has been welded all the way around, inside the boat and outside the boat, it has actually shrunk. It's distorted the steel a little bit. So as that's sliding down, it's actually jammed up a little bit. It's not a big deal. We can either linish it out or we can ream it out. I don't have a reamer that big. I can ask a few guys that I know who may have one, but that's an expensive reamer. That'll be like $5,000–6,000 for that reamer. So we'll probably linish it out, but we will need to get an inside micrometer, measure it accurately, measure the whole flange's rudder stock. We'll measure the OD on this and the ID on that. And then we'll linish that so it's a nice beautiful fit. It's not going to be hard, it's going to be a couple of hours worth of work, but we'll have to continue on for today with that just sitting here. So what I need to do is work out where the rudder I'm going to assemble this basically complete, then work out where the actual hydraulic cylinder is going to be sitting. And once I do that, I'm going to go home and make up a mock hydraulic cylinder just out of some MDF, and then we're going to use that as a template to work out where I'm going to weld everything, and that finishes this job off. So we're going to get on to that. This job's not quite going to plan, but I do remember about this problem. So just here, it fouls on the actual keel there. We need to take a couple of mil off of that to be able to get this rudder shaft in properly. So we might have to just cut this, get the angle grinder, give it a bit of a cut, relieve some material off of that. And yeah, I forgot that needed to be done, so now that the rain's let up a bit, we might as well get to it. Alright, so we've got that all cut off. As you can see, there's a nice straight line going up here. It's yeah, it cut off really easily. The grinder held up well. However, it's got a really sharp edge here, if you can notice. That's like a perfect 90-degree knife sharp edge there. Now with paint, paint can't stick to a 90-degree edge. So as paint dries, it shrinks, and it shrinks like this. It pulls away from that 90-degree edge. So we can't leave it like that. The previous builder who was working on the boat has done a nice job here. That's a nice round radius all around there. He's done it all the way down here. It's not perfect here. I would prefer a little bit more, but it's not horrible. That will work. So we're going to replicate this round angle a little bit further up and along here. At least it needs to be at least 3 mil radius on there for me to be happy anyway. So we're gonna grind that up, take that little nub off there, because my round disc can only get in so far, so I couldn't exactly cut that one. So we'll just we'll round that off and the edges. Alright, and that's the radius is all ground down. So, nice looking job. I haven't got these ones down here. Just giving them a bit more of a radius so the paint doesn't slip away. So we should be right to put that shaft back in. Alright, we've got a small gap there. It's probably a bit more than 5 millimeters, maybe 8 mil gap. So this has not got any movement, so push it all the way. That's never going to hit, which is good. So that's a little job done. Alright, cutting that piece off and all that worked well. We got our rudder all assembled. It will sit slightly lower than this. We've got the lantern ring in here holding the shaft in. We've got the lever arm which can pivot really nicely. So that's all great. Can't put this on just yet, it's just a cover plate with an O-ring, and the shaft will just come up 10 mil above that, and it just is a redundancy seal. We can't put that on yet because we're sticking up slightly. So we've got my drawing for my steering that I've ordered. So that's where the cylinder bolts to the lever arm. So it's got a fairly large stroke on this cylinder. We've got mounting base here, as you can see there. The mounting base from the centerline has a 58mm standoff. So yeah, that little collet there will bolt onto here. So what we'll do is have it sitting directly on top and then coming off, and we'll have to measure what this plane is. So this plane will be like, we'll extrapolate this plane probably using the laser out to here, and then mount our hydraulic cylinder around about here, and then that connecting to there will pull it this way or push it that way. So from memory, a hydraulic cylinder, a rudder has an effective range of 33 degrees. So if we turn this all the way this way, that's getting close to 90 degrees. So it's stopping there, so we're probably about 80 degrees. If your rudder's turned that much, it's not really going to do anything but act as a brake. It's not really going to turn you. But if it's around 33 degrees, which is probably about there, that's as far as it needs to turn, and that far, and we go back to 0, and we go back to 33. So that's as far as the rudder actually needs to turn. So what we have to install is a stop, so that when it gets to here, it hits a steel stop, and just goes bang, can't turn it any further. That's the maximum range. And same on this side. I actually cheated a little bit, and I made the bracket up already, which is going to be welded onto the hull, wherever it determines to be, and the hydraulic cylinder is going to be actually bolted to this plate. I've already blasted it, looks nice. I haven't painted it. My garnet was a bit soft, it's not a good enough profile for me to blast, so I'm going to have to get some new garnet and just whip this up again, giving it a bit more of a profile for the paint to stick to. But as you can see, having a square bottom and a tapered boat, I need to actually cut that a little bit better. So I actually have to cut that to fit the contour of the boat. So made some progress. I've already got the bracket up. All these holes are drilled with these measurements here. It's a bit odd. It's a little annoying, but they've actually made these bolts off the centers of the bolt holes 85.8 millimeters. Who would make it 85.8 millimeters? Like, that just makes it difficult. Wouldn't you just go 85 or 86? That doesn't make much sense to me unless they use an American equivalent. I didn't check if that's an imperial measurement, but it's written in millimeters. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. It just makes it difficult for me. Maybe they've made it this way because then, you know, once this boat is made with that cylinder, you basically, if you just want a quick changeover, you're not actually going to go engineeringly adjust brackets and everything. You then have to buy their cylinder again. It's a little annoying, but you know, sorry about whinging. So we have the bracket, we have this assembled. I'm going to now make up a mock hydraulic cylinder using these dimensions that they've given me to work out where this is going to go. And then I'm going to make up a jig which will allow me to work out what plane I need to set this up to. So that surface has to match parallel to this surface. So we'll get that happening, and yeah, we're basically right. Before I match this surface to that one, obviously, though, I've got to fix this and get that down to the proper plane that it's going to be sitting on, and then just get this one 58mm lower than that plane. It might be challenging because this boat goes up a little bit here, so I may have to cut a fair bit off of here. It may even come right up, we don't know yet, but that's the whole point of making this jig. So I'll stop babbling and I'll get home to start making up that jig. So yeah, I'll see you guys later on. Now I'm here in the home office, and sorry about the noise, I do have the machine running, so it's warming up at the moment. I've already cut out this shaft, actuator shaft, and this is going to be part of the template we're going to use. So here's my little program. So if you can see here, the blue is the actuator shaft that we've already cut out, and then this outline, the black one, is actually the actuator like cylinder body. With included is this mounting bracket, mounting plate there. So if we look at this design, we've got 3 positions here, obviously the closest in, mid and most extended. They give us the dimensions for all of these positions, and that's the 3rd position dimension, all from the center point of this. This is like a bearing bracket. So inside this housing, it's actually a giant ball-shaped round ball, which allows that actuator shaft to pivot on that point there, so it'll be able to pivot. So what we've done is basically included this mounting bracket, and then it does taper down there, but we've basically done this outline here. We've gone down there, across, up, skipped all this, come across, down, and come back out, and then going back around for this particular part of the model. And then I've created a couple of little holes here, and this will actually feed through those holes, so that when we put it in the boat, this will be able to feed in and out. But that's alright, you guys will see that in a sec when we finish cutting it out. So I'll put a piece of timber in here and we'll start cutting it out. So that's what we've cut out. It's just going to be a bit of a guide. So pop this down there. We'll get our other part of the actuator. We'll see if we can thread that through. It doesn't bend very well, so I'm just going to open that front one up a bit. I just put a 45 chamfer in these both sides just with a chisel. So that allows me to pop this in now. And then feed it back up through here. So I can actually get my actuator to actuate. Just push that in. So we can pop, that's going to sit that way in the boat. We're going to pop that on the actual lever arm, and we can set that to the correct distance, and then we can mark where those holes are. So we'll put the actuator in a far 30 odd degree angle, and then mark that position with those bolt holes, and then we can actuate it. Obviously that'll still be bolted down, and then get the lever arm in the opposite 30 odd degree angle, and then we can mark its true position, and we're good to go. So now we've just got to take that down to the boat and see if it works. Alright, you sort of see what I was trying to achieve here. I put this strong magnet on the centerline, and I've drawn with a texture, basically measured each side of the boat, worked out where the centerline was. I lined that centerline up with this hole here, and then we trace that down. This is also drilled on the centerline. You can see where the machining comes into the middle there, that's a centerline point, and also this bolt hole here is on the centerline. Then we get a straight edge and we sort of line all that up, so we intersect all those datum points. Then from that point there I can get my handy dandy protractor. I set that at 35 degrees, and that's the maximum effective range of my rudder, and then I mark out these lines. Then we can turn this till those lines now intersect the center line of the boat, and then we get that previously marked out center line on the magnet. We intersect the line, and then we intersect the center line of that shaft, and then that's set that angle at 35 degrees. And we do the same with the other side. And then once I did that, I just G-clamped a couple of bits of scrap, whatever I found, onto the stringers there, so that we've got a stop either side at 35 degrees. So now I know my range of my rudder there. I've got my nice little jig that we made up last night. Pop that in the bolt hole. And then we can, so that's going to be the closest range, so that's to go to there. So then we know that if this cylinder was welded and bolted down in this position, we can go over to that angle and it gets full stroke and come back. So now we know exactly where that has to be bolted to. So that's going to be bolted onto this. Obviously it's too big, and we're going to basically know the exact position that this cylinder has to be bolted into. Now I have already cheated. I didn't want to bore people with me scratching my head and working out where everything had to go. So I've already marked up the angle that this is going to be cut on, so we can work out the height. I was scratching my head for a bit to work out the height because we didn't really have enough. If I wanted that to be perpendicular, we didn't have enough height. Then I remembered that this has actually got a ball knuckle inside this mounting bracket, so it can actually go up and down and, you know, any direction, and this thing, yeah, could be anywhere, and it'll still operate really well. Ideally you want it perpendicular, but we could be up on a slight angle and it will still work perfectly. So that's the advantage of this design. So we'll get it as perpendicular as we can. So it'll be probably up on a couple of degree angle, which is fine. But yeah, I know now that when I cut this to suit, all I have to do, once it's down low, obviously, is tack it in position and then line it up so those bolt holes all line up. And then once I have double checked that, I can do a full weld. So unfortunately, with me having to scratch my head for quite some time, trying to get this all organised and marked out properly, I ran out of time to weld it all into position. I know I was really hoping to get everything finished on the steering in one hit, but that's not how I operate. We like to drag things out. It's also getting quite dark. I've had to put the light on, so we're running out of time. But yeah, this is going to be a bit tricky, but I don't want to rush it. It's quite a big part of the boat, the steering. So what I will do is next week I'm going to set up some laser levels and get everything all properly lined up. So we'll run a proper center line. So it's a little bit more detail put into it. This has been a bit slap shot, and you know, it'll probably work and it's fine, but we'll double check things next week. And then we'll get that bracket cut down and we'll weld that in, and the steering is all done. That's going to be a nice big step forward. I have ordered the steering. It's going to be a while before it comes in. And then one thing you don't do with boats is you don't store the cylinders for quite some time without using them. The wiper seals actually need to oil up, otherwise you can get flat spots on your wiper seals if you're not using them and they're not full of oil. If I buy it and don't install it, there's no oil, it's just going to sit flat on a shelf in the shipping container there until it's ready to go in. That's not going to be good for the cylinder. I can take the wiper seals out maybe and store them separately, but that's a bit of hassle. So yeah, I've got the drawings from the guys who supplied it, we've ordered. However, they just told us, yep, it's all good, just ring us up when you need it. So that's how we're going to operate. Not going to install the hydraulic cylinder, that's why I made the template up. We're going to get everything installed ready just to order it when we need it, which is great. They're really good company to work with. So we've gotten a long way with this. This is one of the biggest parts in this room, and then once this is set up, we can finish cleaning up these edges and that. We've got a walkway to go in where I'm sitting now, and that would be this room complete. I've got one more window done, one more window to do here. I did this the other day off camera, which is why we haven't got other projects to show you. I've decided, well, you're going to be bored if I keep doing windows every week, so I cheated and did that one off camera. So I'm plowing through with the windows, but yeah, I thought I'd do something a little bit more interesting today with the window and the steering. So yeah, I'm going as far as I'm going to go today and not this week on that. So yeah, we'll cut the episode here. I'm going to head off home, get some dinner, and hopefully everyone's enjoying the episode. I'm not boring everyone. I think once we start getting into a bit more of the actual boat components and all that, and we stop doing the windows and the hull work and the flooring, it's going to start getting a lot more interesting. So hopefully everyone stay tuned for that. Yeah, hopefully everyone has a good week, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks guys.